28th of January 2022. You're watching Lunchtime News coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Bringing you the news, I'm Mariam Gunavijaya. Before we head on to our stories in detail, here is a look at your headlines for this afternoon.
Bus travelling to Hatton falls off a precipice. 16 hospitalised. Investigation launched into explosion at a residential garden in Salava. Conserve electricity, switch off lights, a request from the Minister of Power. Principals launch strike action again. Government proposed PTA amendment with a UNHRC session around the corner.
In your lead story this afternoon, a bus transporting staff members of a garment factory fell off a 45-feet precipice this morning in Decoya, Hatton. Now, one person has reportedly died in the accident.
Time 6:15. 16 staff members of a garment factory was on board the bus that was travelling to the Hatton town. The bus fell off a precipice at the Salang mountain. The accident claimed the life of a 62-year-old father of two. He was a resident of Kodaiswatta. 15 people are receiving treatment at the hospital. No one suffered serious injuries from the accident. The Hatton police suspect speeding to be cause of the accident.
The Criminal Investigation Department has launched an investigation into the explosion that injured a student at a residence in Salava, Koskama. It is suspected that ammunition that was scattered during the explosion that took place in the Salava Army Camp ammunition storage a few years ago had exploded at the residence. A 15-year-old student that was injured during the incident was transferred to the National Hospital in Colombo from the base hospital in Avisavela. Also in headline-making news this afternoon, school principals are currently engaged in a one-day trade union action. Now, members of 12 trade unions of the Principals Trade Union Alliance are taking part in the trade union action.
On the
5th of January, they issued a circular to amend the National Salary Scheme. The amendment has done grave injustice to principals. With this salary increase, teachers are receiving a higher salary than principals. This is the injustice that has been committed against us. Our main objective of this one-day token strike is to demand for this to be changed. 4,718 officials are being recruited illegally to act as principals after only facing an interview.
ගුරු සේවයේ නිලධාරීන් 4718 දෙනෙක් අනීතික විදියට සම්මුඛ පරීක්ෂණ වලින් පමණක් විදුහල්පති ධූරවලට බඳව ගන්න ආණ්ඩුව කටයුතු කරමින් ඉන්නවා.
The Ministry of Power says there is a shortage of about 20 megawatts of power in the national grid of the country. Against such a backdrop, Minister of Power Gamini Lokuge has requested the general public to use electricity sparingly between 6:30 p.m. and 8 p.m. this evening.
According to the Ceylon Electricity Board, the highest demand for power was experienced at 7 last night. The highest demand was recorded as 2,572 megawatts. The Kalanithisa Sojitsu power plant that contributes 163 megawatts to the national power grid, while the third generator of the Norotole power plant that contributes 300 megawatts to the national grid are still malfunctioning. Meanwhile, 33,000 litres of furnace oil was unloaded at the Sapugaskanda power plant yesterday. The CEB assures that there are sufficient stocks of fuel to generate power for the next 7 days. During the discussions held yesterday between the members of the Public Utilities Commission and the Ceylon Electricity Board, it was decided not to impose any scheduled power cuts until the 31st of January. Minister of Power Gamini Lokuge requested the general public to use electricity sparingly.
There's a difference of about 20 megawatts during peak hours between 7 and 8:30 in the evening. But we hope to fix this using other generators. That is the reason why the PUCSL directed the CEB not to impose any power cuts. We also informed them not to impose any power cuts.
Now shifting your attention from the power crisis in the country to the fertilizer crisis. Farmers across the country are requesting for a reasonable compensation for the losses incurred during the Maha season.
A satyagraha launched by the Samagi Jana Balawega and Samagi Retired Farmers Collective entered its fourth day today in Dehiyatta Kandiya. The satyagraha is being staged demanding for pensions for farmers and for 100,000 rupees in compensation for an acre of land. This is a paddy field belonging to the Winnipeg farming community in Hasselaka, Kandy. The farmers point out that they did not reap a proper harvest despite using organic fertilizer provided by the government. The residents say that this has adversely impacted 300 families in the region.
Meanwhile, Minister of Agriculture Mahindananda Alutgamage says only small amount of farmers did not reap the expected harvest after commencing cultivation in an appropriate time during this Maha season.
The minister expressed these views during the inspection tour to Millania in Bandaragama Kalutara. These farmers have used the organic fertilizer provided by the government, the nano nitrogen fertilizer, in the right manner. We inspected around 2,000 hectares in this area.
Samagi Jana Balawega parliamentarian Kings Nelson challenged the Minister of Agriculture Mahindananda Alutgamage. I would like to ask the Honourable Minister of Agriculture, can you let us know to which Gram Niladari division you provided nano-nitrogen fertilizer? To whom did you provide 12,500 rupees in the Polonnaruwa district? Enough lying in Parliament. Now there is a situation where you cannot go to the village. I am challenging you now. If possible, try and conduct a gathering in the village. I am asking the Minister of Agriculture to come to Polonnaruwa, go to Dimbulagala, Alahara Minneria and Kaudulla farming communities. The drop in harvest is not the only problem facing the farmers cultivating on fields in Rabdalana Pannala. Waste from a large-scale coconut oil factory has been diverted to the waterways that flow through these fields. These fields have been damaged for years by the waste disposed by this oil factory. If the plants get submerged during a flood, when they are young, the oil deposits on the plants. When the oil gets deposited like that, these plants are destroyed. There are 80 acres of paddy fields in this area. It has been reported that some farmers have abandoned their paddy fields because of this situation. News First inquired on the matter from the manager of the coconut oil factory. The wastewater is purified before it is released. We haven't directed this to the drainage system. However, during the purification process, the ash that is used for the purification had been released to the environment along with the water. But this is not something that happened recently. It happened about 2 years ago. We have requested the Agrarian Service Department and other relevant government institutions to give us the opportunity to clean it up. Joint trade unions of the Agriculture and Agrarian Insurance Board, convening a media briefing, denied the accusation levelled by the chairman of the Agriculture and Agrarian Insurance Board, Attorney-at-Law Premachandra Appa, who resigned from his position. Attorney-at-Law Premachandra resigned from his position, stating that he cannot continue working at the Agricultural and Agrarian Insurance Board, true to his conscience. We challenged the former chairman. If there were any corrupt activities taking place during the past, prove them to the media. The other factor is if there was corruption within the organization, why did you fail to bring those to the attention of the Minister of Agriculture? This chairman acted in a way that he was not ready to take any responsibilities in the organization, even in the letter he sent in the orders. The documents provided by the external audit firm are not available now. He does not implement certain decisions taken by the board of directors.
Also in local news this afternoon, Turkey's Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu arrived in Sri Lanka on an official visit. Turkey's Foreign Minister was accompanied by 9 others. Now, State Minister Tarak Balasuriya and the Turkish ambassador to Sri Lanka were present at the airport to welcome the Turkish Foreign Minister and his entourage. The Turkish minister and his delegation are scheduled to leave the island this afternoon, concluding their one-day official visit. The Organization to Protect Consumer Rights expressed the following views.
Always, the consumers in the country used coconut oil that was mixed with palm oil. We are informing the citizens of this country the best decision made by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa was to increase the tax on palm oil. If not, they are charged 250 rupees per kilo of palm oil that was imported. They charge 150 rupees for imported kilogram of coconut oil. The tax for coconut oil is now low and the tax for palm oil is high. Against such a backdrop, palm oil will not be mixed with coconut oil. The reason being that businessmen will not gain any profits. The suggestion by these businessmen to reduce the price of coconut oil in Sri Lanka is to reduce the tax on palm oil. By doing so, they will mix palm oil with coconut oil, and the people who use this will be at risk of contracting cancer and other illnesses.
In another story making headlines this afternoon, the government has gazetted a bill with amendments to the controversial Prevention of Terrorism Act ahead of the UNHRC sessions in Geneva.
The bill, titled Prevention of Terrorism Temporary Provisions Amendment Bill, proposes a number of amendments to ensure that the legislation is in line with international standards and best practices. According to the amendment, a suspect will be allowed to apply to the Supreme Court on grounds of violation of their fundamental rights and seek relief. The amendment also proposes to allow for attorneys at law to have access to the person in custody and also allow relatives to communicate with the detainee. The bill proposes to reduce the total period of detention permitted under the Act from 18 months to 12 months. The bill includes an amendment to allow a magistrate to visit the place of detention of the suspect to ensure that the suspect is protected from torture or any degrading treatment. The bill also includes provisions to allow a suspect to be produced before a judicial medical officer to ensure that such person has not been subjected to torture. The bill also enables courts to conduct day-to-day trials to expedite the proceedings in the case. The Prevention of Terrorism Act that was introduced in 1979, mainly in response to the civil war at the time, is being amended after 43 years. The bill appeared in the Gazette against a backdrop where the next United Nations Human Rights Council sessions have been scheduled to be held in March.
Samagi Jana Balawegaya parliamentarian Patali Champika Ranavaka arrived at the President's Commission appointed by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to investigate political victimization. The SJB MP was questioned on the committee investigated corruption during the tenure of the Good Governance government. The Colombo Chief Magistrate's Court ordered to release Minister Johnston Fernando and 2 other suspects in the case filed over the deployment of 153 Satosa workers for other activities. Colombo Chief Magistrate Buddhika Sri Ragala ordered to release the trio as the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption has not followed the proper process in filing the case.
Accordingly, the 3 suspects, including the minister, were released from the 3 cases filed by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. The court ruled that the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption had not obtained the proper approvals from the 3 commissioners before filing the case. The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption had requested the court to release the suspects from the case by ensuring that Seabox rights to refile a case against them under Section 186 of the Code of Criminal Procedure is ensured.
Now, these were the views expressed by Samagi Jana Balawege parliamentarian Patali Champika Ranawaka.
They have appointed another commission. They are trying to punish us with the motive of taking away our civic rights. Today you don't have electricity. The working population do not have a way to purchase goods. There is no fertilizer for farmers. There is no gas in the market, no oil. The reason being that we don't have dollars. What is the real reason for this? During the time between 2005 and 2015, especially after 2010, dollars were looted under the guise of development projects such as highways, power plants and airports. It is funny that they have not summoned any of the police officers who investigated the Minister of Public Administration or the minister who was in charge of the legal system.
In some cricket news this afternoon, Afghanistan qualified for the semi-finals of the 2022 Under-19 Cricket World Cup last night. They won their Super League quarter-final match against the Sri Lanka Under-19s by just 4 runs. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Lunchtime News here on TV1. For details of these stories and much more, you can log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. Thank you for watching. A very good day to you and take care.